So in today's walk and talk, we're going to talk about something that Jordan brought up. So Jordan was asking about why are so many people suffering in the UK recently? And we can look at this in three ways. So the first one is about benefits and the social structure. The second one is around news and media. And the third one is around technology. So prior to the 1950s, if you were injured, if you were ill, if you were old, if you were out of work, all these things could lead to you not being able to feed yourself. This also could mean that actually from that point of view, you're probably not going to survive. You might well die. And so our subconscious for thousands of years has basically been trying to help us protect ourselves to ensure that we don't end up in a situation where we could die. So around the 1950s, things started to change quite a lot. So if we look at the benefit systems that were put in place by the governments, we suddenly have the NHS and the health service. So the thing with the NHS and the health service is what it means is if I get ill, if I get injured, then I don't need to have money. I can go to the doctors, go to the hospital, and they'll help and heal me. And as time goes by, the medicines and the treatments get better and better. So now, us getting ill, getting injured, is less of a problem. But our subconscious still sees it as a big problem. Next, if we look at old age, so as we got older, if we had no one to support us and help us, that was probably a pretty lonely and gruesome sort of existence, and you wouldn't live too long. But nowadays we've got the pension. And the idea of the pension is that we get some money. It may not be a lot of money, but it's enough for us to cover the basics. And those basics being shelter, heating, maybe, and food and water. The other benefits that we get come from the fact that if we're made unemployed and we don't have a job, and that might be because we're disabled, it might be because we've had an injury, could be any number of reasons, that the government will help us in that side of things. So again, it might not be a huge amount of money, but we should not have to worry about not being able to feed ourselves or our family. We should not have to worry about us having no place to live, etc., etc. So you can kind of see the benefit system, pensions, the NHS have all helped us get to that point where the chances of us dying from any of these things is lessened. Next thing is around local news, or news in general. So again, back in the 50s and 60s, your local news was probably a local paper that covered your town and 2 or 3 other towns locally to you. You might have had the BBC, which will give you a little bit of news, a bit wider, but generally most of your news came fairly locally. And the worst things that are probably going to happen in your local area was, I don't know, someone comes and robs a house, or someone nicks a bike, or some poacher's been caught doing something like that. So it's actually not that bad, the news. And then what happens is we start getting news from wider areas. So we then start looking at regional news. Then from regional news, it comes to news from around the country. And now with social media and the internet, you can get news from the globe, from anywhere around the world. So when we start off, we only worry about things that are happening in our local neighbourhoods, and actually there may not be much that's happening in those local neighbourhoods. As we get to the point of it's more regional, we're starting to hear more news about more things happening, but that's just purely because you've got a wider area, so there's chances of more stuff happening. As we get to UK wide, obviously there's even more stuff happening as a percentage. So you can kind of see as we get more and more news from wider sources, the world looks more and more unsafe. So that doesn't help us either, because now we're worried a lot more about what's going on than maybe we did in the past. So the next one is technology. So, back in the 60s, 50s, There wasn't a lot of technology around. You had your TV, you had your radio, that was it. Your main forms of entertainment were going out and seeing people, speaking to people, and doing those sort of things in the local area. And you knew everyone in the local area. We then started getting technology in place, and come the 80s, we've now got more technology, we've got more computers, there's more, you're meeting people who are a little bit further apart, and you're getting a little bit more isolationism. So what you're finding is that you're going out less, you're seeing less people, you're spending more time at home, and the TV is doing the same thing. So that's kind of your evenings out, no longer evenings out down the pub or down the club or wherever it is. Your evenings out are watching TV. And as we start going towards the sort of now, the thing we tend to find is that with technology, my friends could be in America or India or anywhere around the world. If I post something up on a subject, whereas I might have got, and let's say 100 people saw it and 1% of those would come back to me, that means in the past, in the 50s, I might write something, one person might say something. But if we've got 10,000 people looking at a post, now we're going to have 100 people posting on it. So you can see as technology comes along and more people see more stuff and access more information, we're now getting more input into whatever we put onto social media, more comments. Not all those comments are great comments, but it is what it is. So as you can see, what's happening is we've got a brain that sat up for a couple of thousand years ago. It's made to keep us safe. We don't have those things that worry us anymore. And then next, what's happening is we're getting more and more isolationist. So we're seeing less people, we're going out less, our phones are interacting with us all the time, they're always with us, beeping notifications. In the past we might have had 3 or 4 friends in the 60s. Now we end up with hundreds of followers, but no friends. So I hope this kind of helps you think about why we might be getting to this place where people mentally are having so many problems. As I say, maybe technology isn't helping us as much as we thought it would be. Maybe we just need to get out and speak to people and see people. Maybe we just need to understand that actually life is not a bigger threat as we think it is or it was. Okay, there's very little in this world that can kill you. And I think more to the point, we probably just need to have a purpose in life. Once we've got that purpose in life, we can drive forwards on it. So I hope the video helps. Please feel free to comment. And I'll see you in the next Walk and Talk.